The tissue paper crinkles beneath my trembling fingers as I unwrap the small package. Mom and Dad watch from across the dining table, their faces illuminated by the glow of their phones. Dad's thumb scrolls through Facebook. Mom's eyes flick between her screen and my face. I pull the last piece of paper away to reveal a set of discount candles, the $11.99 price sticker still attached to the bottom. The scent Autumn Breeze gave me a migraine when Aunt Carol burned it last Christmas. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," Mom says, already looking back at her phone. The room tilts slightly. I spent 3 hours cooking tonight's Milmy-own birthday dinner, while everyone lounged in the living room. Dad complained about the mixer noise. Marissa asked for her portion without onions 10 minutes after I'd finished cooking. "Thanks," I whisper, the words sticking in my throat. Like a projector clicking through slides, memories flashed before me. Last month, the confirmation email on Mom's phone for Marissa's weekend at Stillwater Spa, $3,500. 2 weeks ago, the gaming console delivered for Everett, $900, that Dad called necessary for his mental health. My fingers lose their grip on the candle set. It drops, bouncing off Mom's precious glass coffee table. The sound of cracking glass echoes through the room. Everyone freezes. Dad's head snaps up from his phone. Mom gasps. "What the hell, Rowan?" Dad roars, jumping to his feet. "That table cost us $800. No one mentions my birthday. No one asks if I'm okay. Dad looms over me, face flushed. "You'll pay for that. Do you know how tight things are right now?" Of course I know. I'm the one keeping their finances afloat. Just yesterday, I sat in my cubicle at Meridian Marketing, transferring my quarterly bonus meant for an apartment deposit into Dad's checking account. The truck payment was 2 months overdue. The truck he uses to drive Marissa to job interviews and Everett to gaming tournaments. Last month, everyone comforted Marissa when she quit another job after 3 weeks. "The manager was mean," she said, dabbing at non-existent tears. "He expected me to come in on time." Dad patted her hand. "Take your time finding something right for you, princess." The same night, he cornered me in the kitchen. "Your share of utilities is going up. Things are tight." Now, as Dad rants about the table, something shifts inside me. A plate that's held too much weight finally cracks. "Am I your daughter or just your maid and ATM?" My voice is quiet but steady. The room goes silent. Mom's eyes widen. "Don't be so dramatic, Rowan," she finally says, waving dismissively. "It's just a birthday. We've given you everything." Dad nods, his expression darkening. "After all we've done for you, ungrateful doesn't begin to cover it." My hand stops trembling. With deliberate calm, I reach into my pocket and remove my house key. The metal catches the light as I place it on the damaged table. "What are you doing?" Mom asks, voice rising. "I'm done," I say simply. Dad reddens further. "Done? What about the table? What about next month's mortgage? Your sister needs new clothes for interviews." Not a word about me leaving, only about what it will cost them. "We'll lose the house without her contribution," Dad mutters, calculating the financial impact rather than the emotional significance. I stand up straight, cold realization washing over me. This is all I am to Theme, a reliable source of income, a maid, a cook, not a daughter with dreams and needs. I shoulder my bag and walk toward the door, leaving behind the candles, the broken table, and 26 years of expectations. Behind me, Mom's voice follows. "If you walk out that door, don't expect to be welcomed back." I pause, hand on the doorknob. They're the only family I have. But as I step into the cool evening air, I realize that's not true. They stopped being my family long ago. They're just the people I've been supporting. And it's time for that to change. The envelope arrives 3 days after I walked out. Plain white, no return address. I almost toss it with the junk mail, but the bank logo catches my eye. Inside, I find statements for credit cards I never applied for. 3 of them, all maxed out. All in my name. My knees buckle. The kitchen floor of Paige's apartment meets my back as I slide down against the refrigerator, the one I bought for my parents last Christmas when theirs died. The cold metal presses against my spine while numbers blur before my eyes. $8,700. $8,700 of debt I never created. My breath comes in short gasps. The room spins slightly as I spread the statements across the linoleum. A Best Buy card opened 2 years Agorite when Everett got his gaming setup. A department store card from last spring when Mom and Marissa went on their shopping spree for interview clothes. A general visa with charges from gas stations, restaurants, and the liquor store Dad frequents. It wasn't enough that I paid the mortgage, utilities, and groceries. They needed more. They stole my identity. I thought you might want to see those, Paige says from the doorway. Her voice is gentle, careful. They came to the house yesterday. Your mom opened them, but I grabbed them when she wasn't looking. I press my palm against the cool floor to steady myself. How long have you known? I suspected something when your dad mentioned your excellent credit history last Thanksgiving. The way he said it felt wrong. The statement trembles in my hand. My signature, forged with practiced precision. Dad always said he could replicate anyone's handwriting. A talent I once found amusing. 30 minutes later, I stand in my parents' living room. They're arranged on the furniture like a tribunal, Dad in his recliner, Mom and Marissa on the sofa, Everett leaning against the wall. I remain standing, papers clutched in my hand. What exactly did you think would happen? I ask, voice steadier than I feel. Dad crosses his arms. They're just emergency cards, Rowan, for family necessities. Gaming consoles and spa weekends are necessities? Oh, stop being so dramatic, Mom sighs, scrolling through her phone. This is what family does. We help each other. Help? The word tastes bitter. You committed fraud. Everett pushes off from the wall. You should be grateful. All those on-time payments gave you excellent credit. Until now, I say. Now I'm drowning in debt I didn't create. Marissa's face crumples, right on cue. Why are you attacking us? After everything we've done for you. Dad stands, towering over me just like he did on my birthday. Lower your voice, the neighbors will hear. Good, I say. Let them hear how you've stolen from your own daughter. Mom sets her phone down. For once, I have her full attention. We raised you, fed you, clothed you, and this is how you repay us? The statements in my hand suddenly weigh 1,000 pounds. With my marketing salary, these minimum payments would cost me $650 monthly. $650 I need for an apartment deposit. For a life beyond these walls. $650 that would keep me trapped here, paying off their extravagances while they drained me dry. 5 years of career advancement, erased by family greed. If you report this, Dad says, voice dangerously low, it'll destroy our credit. The house, the cars, everything would be at risk. My credit is already destroyed, I reply. But we're family, Mom insists, as if the word itself is a binding contract. Family sticks together through everything. I look around the room at the television I paid for, the furniture I helped select, the family photos where everyone smiles while I stand slightly apart. This isn't family, I say finally. This is parasitism. Marissa gasps. Mom's eyes narrow. Dad takes a step toward me. I back toward the door. I'll figure out what to do about the cards. But I'm not coming back. Where will you even go? Mom asks, her voice sharp with disbelief. You can't afford an apartment with your credit ruined. The knife twists. They knew exactly what they were doing. She can stay with me, a voice says from behind me. Paige stands in the doorway, car keys in hand. I didn't even hear her pull up. My spare room is yours, she continues, for as long as you need it. Dad's face darkens. This isn't your business. I made it my business when I saw what you've done to her, Paige replies, her voice level. That night, in Paige's guest room, I stare at the ceiling fan as it makes lazy circles above me. The credit statements sit on the nightstand, a paper trail of betrayal. My phone buzzes with missed calls and texts, each one a small assault. As I lay in bed, I wonder if I should report the credit fraud or try to pay it off myself to avoid family consequences. Would pursuing justice bring me peace? Or would it only create more chaos in lives already hanging by a thread? What would you do when the people who should protect you become the ones you need protection from? The fan continues its slow rotation, offering no answers, only the soft sound of air moving in circles, much like my thoughts. Next day, my phone vibrates against the nightstand for the 4th time in 20 minutes. I don't need to check the caller ID to know it's family again. They're relentless. Paige mumbles from her doorway, hair tousled from sleep. How many calls today? 17. I silence the phone and flip it face down. And that's just calls. The text started at 5 this morning. 4 days after placing my house key on the cracked coffee table, the Hartley family propaganda machine kicked into high gear. Dad called Uncle Jim and Aunt Susan last night, spinning a tale about their ungrateful daughter abandoning the family during difficult financial times. By noon, my inbox overflowed with messages from relatives I haven't seen since Christmas. "You always seemed like such a responsible girl," wrote Aunt Carol, who gave me the migraine-inducing candles. "Family takes care of family." I drag myself to the bathroom mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back. Dark half-moons hang beneath bloodshot eyes. My skin looks sallow in the harsh light. I've slept maybe 8 hours total since leaving home. My phone pings with a Facebook notification. Mom has gone public. Her post appears with a photo from last Thanksgiving. "Heartbroken today as children, you sacrifice everything for decide your own comfort matters more than family. Some daughters forget where they came from. Please pray for us during this difficult time." 23 sympathetic comments already. My stomach lurches. At work, I stare blankly at my computer screen, reading the same marketing report 3 times without comprehending a single word. My supervisor taps my shoulder, making me jump. "Everything okay, Rowan? Your numbers are down this week." "Just a temporary situation. I manage, voice thin as tissue paper. I'll catch up." But when my desk phone rings, my heart hammers so violently I nearly vomit. I've developed a Pavlovian fear response to ringtones. Every call might be mom or dad with a new accusation or demand. Every email might contain another relative's disappointment. "You need help," Paige says that evening when she finds me huddled on her couch, scrolling through the growing pile of family messages. "This is financial abuse, plain and simple." The words hit like a thunderclap. Abuse. Such an ugly, definitive term. They need help," I whisper, the automatic defense mechanisms kicking in. "So do you." Paige gently takes my phone and sets it aside. "My cousin went through something similar. She saw a credit counselor who specializes in family financial entanglements. I'm texting you her number." The next afternoon, I sit across from Marguerite Wells, a no-nonsense woman with kind eyes behind practical glasses. She listens without interruption as I detail 5 years of family loans that were never repaid, credit cards opened in my name, and the constant expectation that my paycheck belonged to everyone but me. "We'll document everything," she says, sliding a folder toward me. "Every unauthorized charge, every account they opened without consent, every dollar they took." For the first time in days, I take a full breath. The following morning, something unexpected happens. Darcy from accounting appears at my cubicle, holding a small cupcake with a single blue candle stuck in its center. 26 deserves more than discount candles," she says with a gentle smile. Something between a laugh and a sob escapes me as she lights it. We sit in the break room for 15 minutes, talking about nothing important. The normalcy feels like oxygen after days underwater. That evening, a sharp knock at Paige's apartment door freezes me mid-bite of microwave dinner. Through the peephole, Mom's familiar silhouette waits, arms crossed. "I know you're in there, Rowan," she calls, loud enough for neighbors to hear. "We need to talk about your responsibilities." Paige gives me a questioning look. I nod, feeling suddenly calm. "This is private property," I say, after opening the door just wide enough to see her face. "You weren't invited here." Mom's eyes widen at my tone. "After all we've done for you, we gave you everything." The statement hangs between us, so absurd I almost laugh. 5 years of draining my bank account for their emergencies. 2 decades of cooking, cleaning, and managing a household while they scrolled through their phones. An entire lifetime of making myself smaller to accommodate their needs. "You took everything," I reply, my voice steady. "I was the one giving." "How dare you?" "Number." The word comes out stronger than I expected. "I don't need to justify my boundaries to you. I'm not coming back. I'm not giving you any more money. And if you contact my extended family again with lies about me, I'll tell them exactly what you've been doing with credit cards in my name." Mom's face contorts with an emotion I can't quite namrage, perhaps, or the disorientation of losing control. She opens her mouth, then closes it. "You'll regret this," she finally says, turning away, "when you have no one left." But as I close the door, I realize that's not true. Over the next week, Paige and Darcy help me search for affordable apartments. They drive me to viewings, offer furniture from their storage units, bring takeout when I'm too exhausted to cook. "What about this one?" Darcy points to a listing for a studio in Columbus. "It's small, but the location is great. Walking distance to that coffee shop you like." I stare at the screen, momentarily paralyzed by the thought of signing a lease. Every major decision in my adult life has been filtered through the lens of family approval. What would Dad think? Would Mom consider it wasteful? Would it take resources away from Everett or Marissa's needs? I like the windows, I say finally, making the decision for myself alone. 2 days later, I sign the lease. $1,200 per month, $2,400 deposit. Nearly every dollar I've managed to save since my last loan to Dad. But as I hand over the certified check, I feel lighter than I have in years. That night, I carefully organize my documentation. Bank statements showing unauthorized transfers. Credit card statements for accounts I never opened. A journal detailing 5 years of financial manipulation. While my family enjoys their weekly dinner at Applebee's, the one I always paid for, I pack the few possessions that are truly mine. Each item I place in boxes feels like reclaiming a piece of myself. For the first time in weeks, I sleep without waking to check my phone. 2 weeks later, the morning sun slants through Paige's kitchen window as I check my list one final time. 3 columns: take, leave, and document. The paper trembles slightly in my hands, but my resolve doesn't waver. Ready? Darcy asks, leaning against the doorframe. Her auburn hair catches the light as she sips her coffee. I nod, folding the paper with careful precision. I've been ready for 26 years. Paige's old Ford pickup idles in the driveway when we arrive at my parents' house, my former house. The family's cars are gone. They're at Marissa's job interview lunch, an event that conveniently gives us a 3-hour window. I slide my key into the lock one last time, the metal cool against my fingers. Remember, I tell Paige and Darcy as we step inside, take photos of everything before we touch it. I'm only taking what's undeniably mine. We work with methodical precision. I move from room to room, photographing each space before removing my belongings. The camera clicks feel like tiny declarations of independence. Whoa, Darcy whispers when she opens my closet. Your clothes only take up like a quarter of the space. The rest bulges with winter coats, old printers, and boxes labeled Marissa's school things. I never had much room for myself, I say simply. In the kitchen, I reclaim exactly 3 pots, 2 plates, and the coffee maker I purchased last Christmas. I leave behind the expensive knife set Dad insisted I buy, when he decided to take up cooking, a hobby he abandoned after 2 weeks. Paige finds me in the bathroom, carefully removing my toiletries while leaving my mother's extensive collection untouched. You know, she says quietly, most people leaving home take extra stuff out of spite. I meet her eyes in the mirror. I'm not them. We finish in just under 2 hours. The pickup bed holds surprisingly little me life compressed into a few boxes and bags. Before leaving, I walk through each room again, taking after photos that show exactly what was removed and what remains. In my bedroom, I pause at the desk where I've spent countless nights working overtime to meet family financial obligations. My fingers trace the wood grain one last time. You good? Darcy asks from the doorway. Almost. I open the desk drawer and remove a single sheet of paper. It's a simple accounting of every bill I've paid for the family over the past year, $38,756 in total. I place it in the center of my stripped bed. The front door closes behind us with a solid click. As I place the last box in Paige's truck, something shifts inside me. My shoulders straighten. My breath comes easier. Physical weight hasn't changed, but something heavy has lifted. 40 minutes later, my phone explodes. First Dad, then Mom, then Everett. 15 messages in 10 minutes. Where's all your stuff? Dad demands when I finally answer. I moved out. My voice doesn't shake. You need to bring everything back right now, he says. This little tantrum has gone far enough. Mom's voice cuts in from the background. Tell her we'll cut her off if she doesn't come home tonight. A laugh bubbles up from somewhere deep inside me. Cut me off from what exactly? I've been supporting all of you. The silence stretches between us. Your credit cards are still linked to our accounts, Dad finally says, voice dangerously low. We can ruin your score with one call. No, you can't. I press the speaker button so Paige can hear. I froze my credit this week, and I've documented every unauthorized account you opened in my name. More silence. Then Mom's voice again, softer now. Rowan, honey, we're family. Family helps family. Family doesn't steal from family, I reply. I'll text you my new number tomorrow. Use it only for emergencies. I end the call before they can respond. When my phone shows 15 missed calls that night, I wonder if I should block their numbers completely or leave a line open for emergencies. Complete separation offered peace, but was I ready to sever all ties with the only family I'd ever known? My new apartment feels both strange and right. Paige and Darcy helped arrange my meager belongings, transforming the small studio into something that feels like mine. Plain walls hold possibility rather than restriction. Housewarming gift, Darcy announces, presenting a shower curtain printed with vintage travel posters. Every home needs something colorful. Paige brings practical items: dish towels, cleaning supplies, a small toolkit. First aid for independent living, she jokes. Later that week, Miles, the financial advisor Paige recommended, spreads papers across my small kitchen table. His fingers are practical and steady, as he points to numbers that once terrified me. With your income, he explains, we can create a payment plan for the fraudulent cards while still building your savings. For the first time, I see a budget that puts my needs first. No line items for Dad's truck payment. No emergency fund for Marissa's next crisis. Just my rent, my food, my future. 3 weeks after I leave, the reports begin. Mrs. Westerly from next door mentions seeing Dad arguing with someone on the front lawn. Man in a suit. She tells me when we run into each other at the grocery store. Looked official. Your father was waving papers around. A former neighbor emails me photos of utility shut-off notices taped to the front door. The grass has grown long. The recycling bin overflows with beer bottles. That night, I stand at my apartment window, watching the sun set over unfamiliar rooftops. I wonder what bills are piling up in my absence, what excuses they're telling each other. For the first time since I was 16, their financial chaos isn't mine to solve. The thought brings not satisfaction, but a surprising lightness. I've carried their burdens for so long, I'd forgotten how it feels to stand up straight. A week later, the black SUV screeches into the visitor parking lot of Bridgeview Apartments, tires protesting against the pavement. Through my second-floor window, I watch as Dad, Mom, and Everett spill out like angry wasps from a disturbed nest. Dad's shirt hangs untucked, a rarity for a man who once lectured me about proper presentation. Mom's hair catches the afternoon sun, revealing unwashed strands and missed brushing. Everett paces behind them, checking his phone, then shoving it back in his pocket with uncharacteristic force. I step away from the window, my heart drumming against my ribs. 4 weeks of silence shattered by this ambush. My phone buzzes on the counter with a text from the building's front desk. 3 people insisting they need to see you, claiming to be family. Instructions? My fingers hover over the screen, then type, "Don't let them up. I'll handle this." The intercom beside my door crackles to life. "Rowan Elizabeth Hartley, open this door right now." Dad's voice, the same commanding tone that once sent me scurrying to obey. I press the intercom button. "I'm not letting you up." We didn't drive 2 hours to be turned away. Mom says, her voice wavering between anger and what sounds like rehearsed desperation, "The electric company shut off our power yesterday. Your father's truck is being repossessed tomorrow." Everett pushes forward. "You owe us, Ro, after everything we've done for you." The familiar guilt rises like bile, but then recedes as I remember Miles's words from our financial counseling session last week. Their emergency planning isn't your emergency. "If you don't help us," Dad continues, voice dropping to that dangerous quiet I know too well, "we'll tell everyone what kind of daughter you really are. Your boss, your friends, they'll all know you abandoned your family when they needed you most." I take a deep breath and press the intercom again. "I've already reported the credit fraud. Those accounts you opened in my name? The charges are being disputed. The credit bureaus have been notified." The silence that follows is profound. "You wouldn't," Mom finally whispers. "I did," I reply, my voice steadier than I've ever heard it. "I have copies of everything, the applications with my forged signatures, the statements, the recorded phone calls where you both admitted what you did. Your financial problems are no longer mine to solve." Dad slams his fist against the intercom panel. "We're coming up there." Security has already been called. I say, though I haven't done so yet, "Please leave." I watch through the peephole as they retreat down the hallway, Dad's shoulders rigid with fury. Minutes later, my phone chimes with a text from Darcy, who lives across the complex. "Your family is tearing apart the furniture you left by the dumpster. Should I call security?" "Yes," I text back. "I'll be right down." The elevator ride feels endless. When the doors slide open to the lobby, I step out and see Paige waiting, her face tight with concern. "I called security when I saw them pull in," she says. "They're on their way." Through the glass doors, I watch Dad and Everett upend my old desk chair, the one I'd used throughout college. Everett kicks at the wooden legs until one splinters. Mom stands nearby, phone raised, recording everything. "We need to document this," Paige says, pulling out her phone. Security arrive Vestuo officers in Navy uniforms. "Those people destroying property?" one asks, pointing. I nod. "They're my family. They're upset because I've moved out and reported their financial fraud." "Wait here," the second officer says. Then they both push through the doors. What happens next unfolds like a scene from someone else's life. Dad spots me through the glass and charges toward the building, Everett close behind. "You ungrateful little." His words cut off as the security officers intercept him. "This is private property," the first officer states. "You need to leave now." "That's my daughter." Dad points at me, spittle flying. "She owes us." "Sir, step back," the officer warns. Instead, Dad shoves past him, triggering a blur of motion as both officers restrain him. Everett lunges forward, grabbing at one officer's arm. Mom screams, her phone still recording. Within minutes, police cruisers arrive, their lights painting the parking lot in red and blue. The property manager appears beside me, clipboard in hand. "That's $3,600 in damages so far," she says, pointing to the furniture, a damaged planter, and the intercompanel. "Will you be pressing charges?" I watch as Dad and Everett are handcuffed and led to separate cruisers, both still shouting. Mom stands alone, suddenly small in the chaos they created. "Yes," I say quietly. "I'll press charges." 2 days later, a rumor reaches me through Paige's cousin who works at the courthouse. Everett, with his prior record for vandalism, faces 14 months in state prison if convicted. That same afternoon, Darcy mentions seeing Mom at urgent care, apparently suffering from severe anxiety and elevated blood pressure since the incident. I'm organizing my sparse kitchen when the certified letter arrives. I sign for it with steady hands, already knowing what it contains: a court summons to testify about the property damage. As I place the unopened envelope on my counter, I realize this isn't over. Maybe it never will be, but for the first time, I'm not the one paying the price for their choices. 3 months later, the sunlight streams through my kitchen window, casting golden patterns across the countertop. I sip coffee from a mug that reads, "Worth it, Paige's housewarming gift 3 months ago." No one barges in demanding breakfast. No one complains about the noise of my coffee grinder. The peaceful morning ritual belongs entirely to me. I open my banking app, smiling at the savings account balance. 6 months ago, that money would have vanished into Dad's truck payment or Marissa's emergency shopping spree. Now it's earmarked for my vacation to Maine, my first real vacation in 7 years. My phone buzzes with a text from my boss. "Congrats again on the promotion. Team can't wait to see what you do with the social media campaign." The promotion came 3 months after moving out. Turns out focus and productivity skyrocket when you're not constantly solving someone else's problems. The calendar notification pops up. Birthday dinner, 7 p.m. My 27th birthday. I run my fingers along the edge of the dining table, small but mine. The apartment still smells faintly of the fresh paint I chose myself. Later that evening, Paige arrives first, bearing a bakery box. "Happy birthday, Boundary Queen," she announces, placing a chocolate cake on the counter. Darcy follows with a wrapped package. "You're going to hate it," she warns with a mischievous grin. Miles arrives last, carrying flowers and a cookbook. "For the woman who reclaimed her kitchen," he says, his smile warming something deep inside me. We gather around my small table. The gifts they bring aren't measured in dollar amounts. Darcy's handmade pottery mug, Paige's framed photo of us at the lake, Miles's cookbook filled with sticky notes marking recipes he thinks I'd enjoy. "Remember last year?" Paige asks, cutting the cake. Hard to forget discount candles with the price tag still attached. I say with a lightness that surprises me. But it was the best terrible birthday ever. It finally pushed me to tell my story. "To freedom through boundaries," Miles raises his glass. "To boundaries that build rather than walls that isolate," I add. Darcy lifts her glass. "To chosen family." We clink glasses, these people who saw my worth when I couldn't see it myself. 2 weeks later, I stand before 15 anxious faces at the community center's financial literacy workshop. Financial abuse can look like love, I explain. It often comes disguised as family responsibility or helping out. A woman in the back row dabs at her eyes. I recognize that look, the dawning realization that sacrifice without reciprocity isn't love. After the workshop, Miles waits by my car. Ready to look at that 2-bedroom next week? He asks. Our fingers intertwine naturally now, the relationship evolving with the steady pace of mutual respect. On the drive home, I pass my parents' house. The lawn has grown wild, newspapers pile on the porch, and plywood covers one front window. A for sale sign leans crookedly in the yard. I don't slow down. As I drive past the house where I'd given so much of myself, I wonder if sacrifice without boundaries is really love at all. Would you have pressed charges against your own family? Or is there a point where even blood ties must yield to self-preservation? What small boundary could you set this week to protect your own worth? The road ahead curves toward home, my real home, and I press the accelerator,